Hear you.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you, Steve. Steve. It doesn't say mute down there though.
It's because because for my show I'm going through it's fine now. It's just
You got your headphones on there, mister?
I do. I just don't have video.
I'll give it to you in a minute, pal.
Steve, this is Kat.
I'll give it to you, all right.
Kat, that's Steve.
Nice to meet you.
And Jeremiah, go ahead and set your video there. You got the camera over there, so
Okay.
adjust your video
Hello.
accordingly.
Hi, Jeremiah.
And then I
This
need to
is
say-
Steve, Jeremiah.
Hi, Steve. Nice to meet you.
Hello, Steve.
That's Richard in the
And
background.
how are you,
backup
Steve?
vocals.
Yes, backup vocals. That's
I'm
right.
good. Who's singing backup, Mike?
Do up,
Richard.
do up, do up, do up. Sorry.
Did you say Richard?
Yes. I
Yeah,
also go by Dr. D.
Dr.
Dr.
D, the
D.
engineer.
That's
Sound
right.
Hey,
engineer.
Dr. D, I got that.
Off camera like I am.
Yeah.
All right, take that out. I need to log in this way.
Hey, Mike. Kat's going to do the.
I guess I should have Lori shout out to you because see, I don't go into these things alone. So say hello to Lori.
Hi, Mike.
Lori, how you
Hi,
doing?
Hi, Lori.
Oh, Lori.
And hi, Dr.
Lori.
D.
Dr. D.
Lori.
Hi, Dr. D.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Don't worry, I'll be coming up on the screen here shortly.
He doesn't write subscription.
Lori and I have met a few
prescriptions.
times and I've never seen her.
I can write. I don't write prescriptions, but I can write subscriptions for whatever it is that you want.
Subscription.
That's right. Prescriptions, subscriptions, postscriptions.
There he is.
You dirty rat.
Doctor is in the house.
Yes, he is. He is in the house. He needs to clean his lens. Pardon me. There we go.
Do it from time to time.
All right. Oh, I'm not finished yet. Okay, there we go.
There you
I knew there
go.
was something missing.
The props are all there now,
That's right.
except for his scrubs.
Except for my scrubs.
Your
I'm actually Dr. D. I am the audio physician.
Aha. Where were you when I needed you?
I do archival work,
Oh,
transferring cassette, reel to reel, album. I even transfer 78s as well as 33s and 45s to digital format for people. And my slogan is for Fast Forward Audio Communications, fast forward, it's the right direction.
Oh,
He also produces sound for the for Mike Gormley's show here,
Oh,
which he's
yeah.
going to do any second now.
I forgot about. Oh, did you want to start? Doggone. Mr. Jeremiah Higgins, are you ready to rock and roll?
I am, and I'm just going to say hi, just so Mike doesn't say I'm at the beach, and then I'm going to go off camera and let you guys do your thing
You mean like
like
that?
that,
Oh,
oh.
so I don't distract from your Mike's amazing interviews.
Hang on,
He's
I'm trying to get you
can't wait
back.
to
and I
hear this
can't
one.
get you back. Why not?
Can we have
Hang
a
on.
quick huddle just about the breaks? I'm going to take you out to
Hang on,
break
Jeremiah.
with each song. And then Steve, do you
give it back
want
to you.
to talk a little, like maybe 30 seconds, and I'll kind of ask you about each song.
Sure.
Okay, and we'll just do like a quick 30 and
Or
before we
30
go
to a
out to the
minute,
break.
yeah.
So Mike, if you want, when you see Dr. D throwing up the signs,
Yep.
if you want to toss to me, then I'll toss to Steve for the quick 30 and then take us to break. And
okay.
then I'll bring us back. And Jeremiah, I was thinking that you could do the final out with
Premiere? Or-
with the
yeah,
Here
and then
Comes the
say goodbye.
Sun.
Good idea.
Do you realize this is the first time we have ever had a director?
I love it.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
just,
She's good.
I don't know what the hell to do with this.
I have a quick audio question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Since you're going to be playing the audio, do I want in my Zoom, do I want my original sound on or off? Or does
Well,
it not matter?
Or do you have a mic near you? Because you're sounding a little hollow. You're not terrible. It's usable, but you're sounding like distant from your mic.
Okay, I might be backed off.
Oh,
It-
there
That
you
was
go.
good. That was good.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Better.
Oh, what a
Yeah.
voice.
okay, good.
Get this guy a job in radio.
Oh, come on now. I wouldn't
Oh,
do
you
anything.
better stop it.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
And it's time now for
You know what I'll do?
Cool
Maybe I
Jazz.
should. This is a lavalier. Maybe what I should do is go grab an extension real quick, and I could actually mic myself. If this is the sound you want, this is what we would have.
That's beautiful.
We'll play
All right.
this show at midnight.
I tell you, yeah. Midnight midnight to 2 a.m. I love it. Yeah,
All
if
right,
you
let
want
me- let
to,
me-
can you
let me grab an
grab it real
extension.
quick and then
Right.
we'll get started. You bet. Go ahead.
Okay, well,
Oh.
Steve's
Must be
doing that,
disappear.
so how, you're gonna, oh, wait, I get a signal from Richard. I then refer to you and then you take us out and,
Yeah, like once
then-
you're,
okay.
cause you're gonna be kind of running the conversation, and then when you kind of get the feel like a break is coming.
When he
then you
does
can-
2 minutes, that's a perfect
I'll get-
time to go,
Yeah.
oh, let's go to cat or whatever.
Yeah.
Or
You can transition out of whatever you're talking about and find
Exactly.
a nice transition, and
Yeah.
then I'll kind of take it from there and talk
Yeah.
about the song. Now, quick question while he's getting that. All the songs that we're playing, obviously, he is the drummer, singer, various,
it's various, it's,
Yeah.
because I know he does a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
He's also the groupie.
you could just say what was, what, well, do you know what? I don't know if it was marked, but you're the drummer in this, or you could just ask him about the song, Cat.
I'll figure it
And-
out.
and
Yeah, I
Kat-
just
Yeah,
wanted-
we're about
Cat-
to listen to and tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, just so I have the correct, hold on one second.
Yeah.
Okay.
there
There
you
you
go.
go.
Well, now I just have to figure out how to plug it in. No, I know.
Mhm.
Okay, Kat?
Yeah.
Let me just go down this list here, 1 through 7, okay? So that
Yep.
you and I are on the same page. Number 1, Country Love.
Mhm.
Robert, let's see, Rebel Without a Cause.
Rebel Without a Car.
A
is what
car,
I
beg your
have.
pardon, I don't have the full, okay.
Okay.
I Touch the Stars.
Yep.
I'll, let's see, Try Again.
No, I have.
Okay,
Number
well, see,
4 is-
that's the question mark, because the link didn't take me where I thought it was supposed to. That particular song for number 4, I didn't have. So either we go with Try Again Today, or I'll Try Again Today. Is that one of his songs or not?
One of mine?
Yes.
Yes, that's from the John Entwistle Band.
All right, then go ahead and change yours, Kat, because I don't have the song you have listed in the rundown sheet
So it's called I'll Try Again.
today.
Well, you're,
That's it called.
Number
Try it.
5.
let's, okay.
Number 5.
Cat, hold on, Richard. Let's not do this. Cat, read what I sent, and I'll make sure after the show that Richard has the correct files.
Okay. So
Let's do
number
it that way,
4.
because I want to do it in the order that we have here. So
Yep.
you read it here,
Yeah.
we'll correct it on the back end. And let's get going, because we're burning Mike's time and I want to get
All
it
right, let
going.
me give you a mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Little hot,
That
little
working?
hot, little too hot.
Little hot. All right, hang on. I can dial it back.
Yeah, bring it back.
Test 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1.
Bring it down a little more if you can.
2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
All right, one more time.
Is it still coming in too hot?
Yeah.
It's still a little hot.
How's this? 1, 2, 1,
How
2?
much better? Much better.
That where you want me?
That's good. That's good.
All right, if you just give me an audio up, I'll increase it. Otherwise, this is where we'll stay.
Okay, very good. All right, here we go. Video's rolling, audio, 3, 2, 1. You're live.
Hey, this is the Jeremiah Show, and Jeremiah is actually with us for a second. This is Mike Gormley, and Kat is with us, and Dr. D is with us, and especially Steve Luongo is with us today. Jeremiah, you're grinning. Does that mean you're going to go to the beach?
No, I can't. I have to hear the interview. Of course, I'm showing up for Steve Luongo. I can't wait. I'm here, but I'm going
All
to
right.
be very quiet, Mike.
All right, cool.
Welcome, Steve.
Welcome.
Steve Luongo, to say the least, is a drummer, but he's a whole lot more than that. But has performed with some of the greats in this industry. I'd say maybe the one you're with most is John Entwistle from the Who, but there's a long list. And with Jack Bruce from Cream and Cheap Trick and I've forgotten the bass player for AC/DC.
Oh, Cliff. Well, it's interesting because those are all extremely interesting and unusual projects. When I worked the Cheap Trick thing happened when I did a benefit with them and met Robin, and we became friends, and Robin actually did my film, which is another story. And so it was when Robin wanted to play a little bit more, he knew that I had done the thing with Entwistle, and he said, called me up and said, let's get your guys together, meaning my trio, Torque, and let's go and do some gigging. And we put a four-piece, two guitars, bass and drums, Robin singing, and actually his son joined us, Robin Taylor, and he played some keyboards and guitar. So it was an amazing run for a few years, out getting to play some fun music with great people.
That's cool. Let's go back. I mean, you came up at a time when musicians in local bands, I don't know, could you make a living? But at least you made some money, right? I mean, the local bands could, and then your band went far more than local, but we'll get to that. But just the scene, what was it like when you were growing up in the New York area, but you weren't in New York proper, right?
No, we weren't in Manhattan. We were in Westchester County, which is just a little north. So it's nice. We still had trees, but we were 15 minutes away from the center of the universe and the music business back in the late 60s. And so my first recordings that we did with Rat Race Choir, which is the band you're talking about, the New York band, were in the Brill building for Warner Brothers. So another story for another time, but their head engineer liked us and snuck us in for a weekend. And we were all very young. I think I was 16 years old at the time. And we recorded for the weekend and it was a blast. But the music scene developed kind of as we developed. And in the 70s, you actually could make stupid money if you were playing the right circuit in the right band.
So bands like just sticking with the New York area, bands like the Rascals, they were, before they broke out, they were a solid headlining band, at least on a certain level, in that part of the world. So they were already, had nice cars and nice apartments and so on, and they hadn't even hit the big time yet. Is that accurate?
It's very accurate. I mean, they were very successful, as was Leslie West with the Vagrants and the Illusion and Billy Joel and the Hassles, all from that time period before it burst, late 60s, early 70s. And we came up just a year or two under that happening. So we got to be exposed to that whole transition. And it was an incredible time to be playing music, because it didn't feel like you were in a local band. It felt like you were in a touring band. We were working 6 nights a week, 15 weeks a year, and wondering what to do with our days off. It was just, and the gigs were there. It wasn't like we were playing at JoJo's Donut House. We were playing to thousands of people. It was great.
Wow. You were recording, were you getting airplay? Did it call for airplay, or was it word of mouth, or what?
No, there was, no, actually, for us, for Rat Race Choir, which ultimately is the frustration of that band, we didn't get the record deal. Zebra got the record deal, Twisted Sister got the record deal. I think we were a little bit too eclectic. We were not prog, but we were progressive, and we were, as a band, we could play anything. We used to do everything from Mahavishnu Orchestra to Hall and Oates. So try blending that in the same set. We used to get away with it. Our singer could pull it all off. It was just a great time. And when we wrote our music, it reflected all of those roots. And I guess it was a little too, whatever.
Did Rat Race or other members of the band, Rat Race Choir, go on into music, or were you stuck to it?
Well, actually, everybody stayed in it. The guitar player and I, after what happened for me is 87, I met John Entwistle at NAMM in Chicago, Summer NAMM. And he said to me, "Want to jam?" And I said, "Anytime." Actually, I said to him, "Want to jam?" And he said, "Anytime." And I took that as a license to run out on the NAMM floor, find out who's putting on the biggest concert, and tell them I'm playing with John Entwistle and we'd like to play tonight, which is exactly what happened. So we get to the Vic Theater in Chicago, 1987, June. Happened to be June 27th, another story. And he says, what are we going to play? And I said, well, my band's here and we'll play Who songs. And he says, I don't know any Who songs. I said, well, we'll teach them to you, because they
Mike
hadn't
Entwistle
played.
said that?
Entwistle said, yeah, I don't know any Who songs.
What was
So
he talking about?
What's that?
What was he talking about? What did he?
He was, well, first of all, he was being John Entwistle, which comes with a certain degree of English sarcasm. And he hadn't, what he meant was the last time he played with those guys was 5 years ago. And so I mean, he was trying to rattle me. And I said, don't worry, we'll teach him to you. So I pull up to his hotel. Kramer Guitars is putting on the show, right? So they send a limousine that's bigger than the hotel the motel I'm staying in for Summer NAMM. And I go and pick Entwistle up, and him and the roadie come, and they have the bass case, and he sees the limousine, and he looks back and forth, and he gets in, and the driver knows where we're going, and Andy gets in the front seat with the driver, and that's where we had to go. What are we going to play? And I would play some Who songs. And I said, my band knows it. I don't know any Who songs. I said, we'll teach them to you. So we get to the Vic Theater. We go down a flight of stairs. He can't see because of the blacked out windows. It's night, so he doesn't know where we are. We're in an alley, and the Vic Theater is an old time, like a vaudeville type theater. So we go down the stairs into the dressing rooms. The rest of the band shows up, and we run through Live at Leeds. And he says at the end of it, he's saying, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, I remember that. And he said, you guys even learned the mistakes. And that was the beginning of a very,
That's
very
that diligent musician who does his work, does his homework, including the mistakes.
well. If you left it on the record, we learned it. If that's I mean, what were we supposed to say? Oh, that's a mistake. Let's not play that. No. He was he's always had a good humor about it. And the funny thing is, I actually have video footage of us walking out on stage that someone took that night, the first notes I ever played with him. And he didn't really know if we could play. I mean, we're in a dressing room with unplugged guitars, no keyboards. I'm banging on a chair. And then we walk out in front of however many people were at the Vic Theater. I mean, it was overflowing. And
I mean, of course it was overflowing. It was Entwistle. I mean, did he know? He sounds like a pretty casual guy. Did he know his importance in the middle of all this music world?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. If you said to him, John, who's your favorite bass player? I am. So yeah, he knew. I mean, he didn't wear it like arrogantly,
Yeah.
but and he was, he wasn't braggadocious or anything like that. He was a rock star in the truest form, and he was loyal to that identity. And he was the greatest rock bass player. He was the Jimi Hendrix of bass.
He was. He was. So that makes you Mitch Mitchell was Hendrix experience, or he was the drummer?
Oh, I loved Mitch Mitchell.
Yeah. So you're the Mitch Mitchell when you got up there with him. I mean, with Entwistle, if he was Hendrix of bass. And who did what band did you put together? Here you are, last minute, going to play with Entwistle. You need a guitarist. You need a vocalist. I mean, how did you pull all that together?
Well, this is an interesting story, how it happened, because
that's why I asked you.
Yeah, right. Well, I was going to tell you the boring story, but I changed my mind.
Okay.
We, Rat Race Choir, really were. I mean, we did the whole Live at Leeds album. We knew all the. I mean, we knew everything just because when we were coming up, that's what we cut our teeth on. That's how we learned to play the kind of music that we wanted to play and that we wanted to write. So we knew that stuff cold. And so for the NAMM thing, you're gonna love this. For the NAMM thing, I said, my band knows the stuff, and it just so happens that our bass player was the singer. So all we had to do is give John the bass. Dave went out in front, sang the parts, and it was fine. And we played the 4 shows. So then later that summer, I get a call from the Kramer people saying, we're putting on the K Rock and Roll Up Your Sleeve blood drive in November, and we wonder if John would like to play. I said, of course he'd like to play. I better ask him, but yeah. So I called him up, you know, and I had been talking to him where, you know, we would call each other up. He'd call me up at 5 o'clock in the morning, his time, to tell me a new joke. We'd fax back and forth. I mean, it just became, you know, a bromance based on the fact that we played well together. So I said to him, you know, they want us to do this thing. They want to broadcast it live from the Bottom Line. Leslie West is going to open and blah, 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 blah. And he said, okay, you know, set it up. So I said, all right, so while you're here, you want to do some other gigs? And he said, well, yeah. So we just kind of went out. The first tour that we did, I mean, it wasn't really a tour. It was just, I guess it was a tour because it went from one place to another and there was money involved and buses. But it was Rat Race Choir with the bass player singing and John playing bass. And then after that, he asked me if I would join his band, which was called The Rock. This would be 88. And I said, certainly I would. I thought I could help because he had an album. They had recorded an album that just, they couldn't get a deal for. There's a whole big, another story for that. But Zach Starkey was actually the original drummer in there. And then I wound up in there. He said, do you want to join this band and help me put a tour together for the States? And I said, absolutely. And I did. And I went over and we did that in 88. Then I guess we had annoyed the Who enough that they finally got together back in 89. And they did the, whatever that was, the Tommy or the Quadrophenia, was it Quadrophenia?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. They did one of them. And then we, you know, when that was over, we just went back in the 90s to doing either one-off dates. And then finally in 95, we formed a band. You know, we had John and I used to love to go to China Club and jam with different musicians. And there was a guitar player there who played the Who material, I mean, really well and authentically. It's not that we wanted to be a Who cover band. We wanted to be a rock. We wanted to kind of take that thing and make it our own, which in time we did. And so he asked me, you know, if that guy was available. And I said, yeah, he was. And we had considered Corey Glover as a singer. We had considered Robin Zander as a singer. But then the guitar player that we got wound up being able to sing, and you know, the rest is, as they say.
It's interesting. It's a huge community, musicians. It's a huge community. I mean, one knows about the other or hears about the other, and you know, do you think that's still happening? Although touring is impossible, but do you think that communication's still going on, even younger musicians?
Well, I think that it, in my mind's eye, I think it should be going on more than ever. I think that the fact that we're all locked down and we're forced into this new medium of collaboration and entertainment, you know, the thing about doing the show that I did when everybody went out and started entertaining the troops, so to speak, nobody wants to hear me sit back there and bang out Led Zeppelin songs or whatever. So I decided to talk to old friends that I haven't spoken to in 30 years and really didn't have a reason except for, hey, how you doing? And I've spoken to some of the greatest players on the planet that I grew up with and haven't seen since we were in those clubs making that money. And It's just, the conversations have been amazing. So for me, this has been a double-edged sword, but a blessing in disguise. And now I'm doing sessions, because when I was coming up, when I was playing with Rat Race, or when I was playing with John, or when I played with Leslie West, or, you know, it was one band at a time. I didn't have the time to become the studio guy. And, you know, I mean, I have a cousin who wound up being a very successful studio musician, two actually, Jerry and Ricky Murata, and a bunch of friends that went out, you know, Steve Gadd, the guys that just went out and killed it as studio players. I just never had that chance. So now I get to play on anybody's record because I'm set up all the time. So call me.
Sure. All right. We'll put your number on the screen.
1-800
Oh, it's not
Luongo.
up there? I thought
We'll put
my
that up there
Chiron-
after.
my Chiron must be down. So
That's right. That's that. So all this music you've made, well, we'll stay with Entwistle for the moment.
Mhm.
Some of that stuff had to be recorded. It's got to be around somewhere, or or is it out, or what's going on with that?
Well, it's funny the way the whole thing went. I mean, we recorded a studio album that was never really officially really released. I mean, somehow out there in the world you can buy it, and if you can afford the $450 that the lawyer will go out to get you the 30 that you're being ripped off for, there's that. But it's never been accessible to the masses, the vampire soundtrack from the television show. But we did go out and for a couple of years record every show. We took out a mobile rig. We had our front of house guy, Joe Berger, who is actually the person who introduced me to John Entwistle and is probably one of the finest guitar players you could ever want to meet, happened to be not only our studio engineer, but our front of house mixer. So he was recording us every night. And I have 64 board mixes alone that no one's ever heard. And, you know, I was talking to Rod Morgenstein, excellent drummer from the Dixie Dregs, and he said he really likes to plan out what he does.
And Winger.
And a little piece on the side.
Right, and Winger.
And currently playing with Winger, and he likes to be prepared, and he likes to know what's going to happen, and he wants everybody to see the same show. We were not that. We were, here it is. If you saw it, you saw it. If you missed it, you're never going to see it again. And so every night, and the things that we used to do on stage, just the banter alone, I could probably release an outtake CD just from the funny stuff that got said back and forth. Because he was so funny, and he really didn't like to talk, but when it's called the John Entwistle Band, you have to say things.
So he would get up, and now you had the lead singer, but Entwistle would say something to the crowd, or he introduced a song, or
oh yeah, and he sang as well. He wasn't the lead. We all sang. I sang, Godfrey sang, Alan sang, John sang, everybody sang.
Did you do Boris the Spider?
We did, and John sang that, absolutely. And we did it with the very special middle part that Keith Emerson wrote that Skunk would know, because they played that when they did, didn't Skunk do the best?
Yep.
Okay, so Skunk would know.
Talking about Skunk Baxter, guitarist extraordinaire.
Right, guitarist extraordinaire and knower of this part. It's Emerson said, oh, why don't we put in the Rites of Spring and Night on Bald Mountain? And so there's all this whole classical stuff in the middle of it, and John wanted to keep it in, so we learned it. But Skunk would remember that, I'm sure.
Kat, there's some music coming up. Are you going to tell us about it while we slide out into a commercial?
Yeah, we're going to take you to break with a song called Country Love. Can you tell us, Steve, a little bit about that song?
Country Love, yeah. That was actually a song that my songwriting partner and I wrote for a singer, Annie Golden, and it didn't get there. So it's really written from a woman's perspective, but it was written about somebody going out and working on the road, and it turned out to be almost a salute to our military. So if you think about it, if you think the double entendre of country love, there's some military significance in there, and hats off
like that.
Those people. So yeah,
I like that. Well, with that, we're going to take you to break with Country Love, and we will be right.
Okay, we are clear, and Jeremiah's got something to share.
No, this is God, Cat.
God is talking.
God is talking to you in your ear. No, Cat, we figured out what was wrong. Richard has the right music for number when you come in.
So Vampires is number 4 for him.
What I have for that title, Steve can help us out here. I have for the title music from Vampires, but I think we tracked it down, and it is, what is it called, Richard?
Let me look
I think
at
the
this
correct title is
one.
this.
The correct
one.
title is I'll Try Again Today.
Is that right? It's not probably from the music from Vampires. Yeah, so that's not the title. Yeah, okay. So it's I'll Try Again Today. Cat, I just switched that out, but that's he had the correct music. We just had the wrong title.
and it is I'll Try Again Today, by the way.
Beautiful.
Excellent.
Beautiful.
All
Love
right.
it.
All right.
That's all I have to say. Got
That's all
out.
he's got. That's all he's got. All right, I'm going to turn my video off and I'll give you a countdown. If you're ready to go. Here we go.
One thing, wait,
All
Steve,
right, go ahead. Go ahead.
just so you'll know, these little tidbits that are going on, originally, this is a radio show, so
Mhm.
that's where we go to commercial. What we're doing right now stays in when it shows up on YouTube or
Video.
wherever. Our chit chat at this moment stays in, just so
Right.
you'll.
Fine with me. I
Okay.
was gonna rip my clothes off if that's what you were thinking.
You know what?
So
I
that-
think that would do a lot for the selling point of this program. I think we could go after an Emmy or even an Oscar.
Yeah, I think someone would come after me with an Emmy.
Beat you over the head.
Susan Short would she'd take the Emmy and the Oscar. Two-fisted boogie. Come
Oh,
back.
Lord. All I have to say with that, Steve, is ow. 3, 2, 1. You are live.
Welcome back. This is the Jeremiah Show. We have special host Mike Gormley today and special guest Steve Luongo. You just heard Rebel Without a Car from Billy Squier. Tell me a little bit about that song, Steve.
Well, when we that whole album, the music from Vampires, was the soundtrack to a television show, a kids television show, believe it or not, that was on Fox. It was animation. It was part animation and part live action. Now the Vampires, just to try to cut through this and as quick as I can, it was VAN, Van-Pyres, and the object of the show was these kids are all in a band, the heroes, and they rehearse at a junkyard that gets hit by a meteor and turns all the derelict cars into gas-sucking monsters, better known as vampires. And the kids turn into the heroes that have to fight them, and that's what that is. So when we wrote the album, when I was contacted, did we want to do the record? We couldn't write anything about sex. We couldn't write anything about drugs. Couldn't write anything about guns, weapons, nothing. And so it's like, what do you write about? So we wrote Rebel Without a Car. And we told them that we would have guests sing. We would have different people sing that would sing on the program. And, just a sort of another element, because there was a hope that we would tour the music and so on and so forth. And so we recorded, I produced the record in England and then brought the master back to New York. And we added Billy's vocal and a guitar part in the city. And here you go.
Love it. Love it.
Cool tune. And there's a lot like that. You mentioned Billy Squier. You worked, actually, I don't want to leave Entwistle behind just yet. I want to find out a couple of slightly morbid things.
He loved morbid things.
He looked morbid.
Oh, you don't even want to know. Please go ahead.
No, I just want to know, when was the last time you got to play with John Entwistle? And then it was a rather sudden departure on his part, so it had to be a pretty big blow to you. So just maybe encompass those.
Well, the last show that we did live was in Tokyo, and it was the last show of the Walk Down Abbey Road tour. I remember I left the after tour party early because I had an early flight back to the States, and we were going to talk for the holiday or whatever was going, and we talked every day or every couple of days, and I knew what was going on. And then we were preparing, things for the Who tour, because we would set up projects for ourselves to do based on what he was doing or based on what I was doing, and which is how the TV show came about. And we wanted to do a whole bunch of different things, but another story. So the Vampires thing, wait a minute, I'm losing my train. Where am I going with this?
The last time you talked to us.
Right. Okay. Yeah. We had done the Walk Down Abbey Road. Sorry, it's CRS.
Well, a Walk Down Abbey Road was a tribute.
Walk Down Abbey Road was a tribute to the music of the Beatles, coupled with all of our material. It was Alan Parsons, Todd Rundgren, Ann Wilson from Heart, David Pack from Ambrosia, John Entwistle, myself, John Beck was on keyboards, Godfrey Townsend on guitars. What's that?
Basically the Entwistle.
Yeah, it was basically the Entwistle band with all of the other people added to it. And we went out and we did a set of everybody's material. We did 3 Hart songs, 3 Todd songs, 3 Allen songs, Ambrosia songs, and Who songs, and then, or John songs, and then did the Beatles set, was the second set. And amazing. So the tour ended. I figured, I'll see you later. And yeah, but we're gonna get way off track if we go to Smashing the Cake. And believe me, I'll come back for Smashing the Cake if you want me to. But we left, and we left like we had done a million times. And I talked to him almost daily. And the strangest thing about it was he was leaving for California early. He was leaving for Vegas because he would do an art show. Whatever the town was, he'd get there a day early, whether it was Spring Street or New York or wherever it was, and he would do his art show. So he left early, and he left the day before everybody else. And I said, okay, I'll talk to you in California. And he said, okay, love you, mate, and hung up the phone. And he had never said that before. I mean, not that he never told me he loved me, but he had never signed off a phone call like that. And that's the last thing I ever heard him say. So then I had this, I had this deal working with Koch for us to do the tribute to George Harrison record. So we had business to discuss, and he had the art show. And the following day, I called his assistant. I said, I need to talk to him. It was noon in New York. Oh, no, it was 3 o'clock in New York. It was noon in Vegas. I figured it was, wake up. And that's when they found him. And I got a call saying, our boy's in trouble. The coroner's on his way. That's what I was told. And that, because everybody gets, all of a sudden, the lockdown on the whole camp was, I think you only see that kind of stuff in the White House. It was like, and I was the only one not on the road in isolation. And I got barraged by CNN and everything. And they were asking me questions. And the truth is, I had no idea. But they said that the Clark County coroner had determined it was a heart attack. And they asked me if I knew of any heart conditions. And I said, yes, I did. I had to take his blood pressure every day. His mom had high blood pressure, and it was a problem for him as well. And for 2 weeks, until they got the toxicology back, the story kind of died.
Well,
no pun intended.
Yeah, I know. You sent me for a loop there. I was going for a comeback, and it wasn't there.
You can believe it. It's yeah, no, it was
a perfect way for him to go.
It was, I'm sure it was great for him. I mean, he would have written it that way.
Yeah.
But it was shocking. And
what music do we have, Kat? We're heading into another commercial. We need to hear a few notes. What's up?
Yeah. Tell us a little bit. We're gonna leave with "I Touch the Stars" to this break. Tell us a little bit about that one.
That's about, listen to the lyrics carefully, friends. This is about a stalker. And this is, it is not about, I touch the stars. I was working with an artist from England who is the lead vocalist, Anthony Parsons, very talented. And again, this is my band, my guys, my soul, whatever it is. And I had Anthony over in the studio, and I wrote this song specifically for him, trying to go for a semi-electronica / rock sound with this kid's beautiful voice. And I wrote it about, I touch the stars.
So it's literal.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. It was fun to write. So.
All right. With that, we'll be right back. This is "I Touch the Stars."
All right, we're clear, and we'll start again here in 3, 2, 1. You're live.
Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show with special host Mike Gormley and special guest Steve Luongo. You just heard "I'll Try Again Today." Steve, tell us a little bit about that one.
I'll try again today. We were writing for the Vampires record, and we were instructed, because it was for a children's show, a Fox children's show, not to write. We had to be very careful about our subject matter. And since it was, since the show is about good versus evil, I actually started with the title, I'll Try Again Today, about getting up and just, dusting yourself off and trying again today. And it's what it takes to succeed in our business, in that TV show, and in life. You just have to try again today.
Amen to that.
I wanted to clear something up for listeners. Way back a while ago, Steve was referring to NAM, and he met John Entwistle at NAM. He wasn't talking about Vietnam.
No, that was Hendrix.
Right, that was Hendrix. He was talking about a big music convention that takes place every year, except during pandemics, called National Association of Music Merchants, and it's one of the biggest conventions in the world, and it's definitely the biggest music convention. And you're just walking. Everybody's there. It's quite amazing, and it did happen in 2020 in January, and so but it did not happen this year, other than virtual. But anyway, not to get on about that, but I thought I'd, in case there was anybody going, a little confused.
Well, no, that's a good point. I wouldn't want him to think that John was over in NAM, playing in the army band or something. But the cool thing about NAM, you got to meet everybody, and you got to see everything that they ever made that had anything to do with music, from the tiniest little screw to grand pianos.
Yeah,
it was fun.
It's a 3 or 4 day event, and that's not enough time to cover it all.
You can now, it's like Disney World. There's so much to see, and so many talented people doing demonstrations, and then there's all of the meet and greet stuff that the endorsees do, where you'll sit and do your signing and so on. And it was funny. I'll tell you a funny NAM. You mentioned Cliff Williams before, the bass player from AC/DC. Cliff is a neighbor, and we wound up playing some music together and making some music. But I asked him when we first started playing, did you ever meet John? He said, I only ever met him once at a NAM show. We were doing a signing, and he said he wasn't very nice to me. I said, really? How's that? He said, well, I leaned over and I said, hi, John, I'm Cliff Williams from AC/DC. And he turned at me and he went, I said, he didn't hear a word you said, man. And he went, really? Oh, good. He was glad to find out that he wasn't not a nice person.
No. He's a neighbor. You guys you're in Florida right now?
Yeah, Southwest Florida.
And Cliff Williams still lives there? Is still a neighbor?
I'm sorry, who?
Cliff Williams.
Cliff
right?
still lives. He lives over by the river. Down by.
Is there a colony happening there? Mick Jagger just bought a house there. Is there a music colony of some sort? I think
no, and that's why everybody buys their house here. Mick Jagger, Brian Johnson lives right up the street. Everybody buys a house here sooner or later, and some people stay. Now, who is it from Aerosmith that lives on Captiva? Tom Hamilton. Yeah. There is absolutely no music scene here. None. You get to see Elton John once a year. Yeah, Bob Seger lives. Oh, here we are. It's a great place to live, but there is no music scene.
Right. So everybody blends in.
And so everybody moves down here to get away from the music scene. But the minute they find another musician, it's like, oh. That's how all this stuff happens. That's how
you got to start a little. You got to start when things get back to normal. You got to start a little club of some sort, a little hangout. And
sure.
There's a city in Florida called The Villages. You're familiar with the Villages?
Yeah.
Definitely can find some. My parents live there, and they definitely find, musicians. My father is a musician, and like-minded. They tend to conglomerate there. So if you're ever looking for someone, just head to The Villages.
When I moved here 17 years ago or whatever it was, and 5 days before one of the most devastating hurricanes in the world could show up, I'm from New York. Gun, knife, no problem. Weather, I don't do weather.
Mm.
Just, so I'm ready to batten down the hatches and get blown away. I hear about this new thing called storm surge, that it makes the water go up 12 feet. And all you have to do is check the elevation of your house. Mine was 6 feet. So when nothing happened, I said, benefit concert. And everybody saw. What I found out is all the guys that are down here, oh, I don't want to play anymore. What they mean is, I don't want to play anymore with my band, but I'll play with anybody else, everything else that you could ever want to play. And so that's how it kind of all started. I put on this show with Rick Derringer at Universal and another one down here at Germain Arena. And we all became friends and started bands and had a good time.
Well, Kat, take us away. We're going into another commercial.
Oh, we're going to take another break, and this time we're going out with Chain Gang on the Road. Tell us about that one.
Oh, I was a
Mm.
problem. This is affectionately known as Forklift. And when I met Cliff Williams from AC/DC after the Germain Arena show, I said, if you ever want to do any playing, my guitar player is right up in New York. And he said, well, my singer is in Sarasota, talking about Brian Johnson. So I brought my guitar player down, and we, without starting a band, started a band, went into the studio. I wrote a bunch of lyrics with Brian Johnson, a bunch of music with Mark, and this is one of the songs. And we toured it, I think, in 07 or 08.
Well, when we come back, we'll hear some music. Don't mean to interrupt, Kat, but when we come back, want to find out about all this recording you're doing. I want to hear if it's out there. Is it released? You're looking into it, but we'll get to that after this. Sorry, Kat.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be right back. You're listening to The Jeremiah Show with Mike Gormley as host.
That was
All
fun.
right, stand by 1 second.
How much
Kat, I
time?
want you to do the out again, just the out. Mike Gormley has said his thing, and now you're just going to say, we'll be right back, blah, 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 okay?
Yep.
I'll count you down in 3, 2, 1.
We'll be right back.
Thank you.
That was great. Well done, Kat.
Oh, thank you. It's so hard.
And under pressure.
That's right, because I'm such a taskmaster.
Mhm.
Well, I've heard
How
that.
much time do we have overall?
Overall, you still have about 10 minutes. And a matter of fact, no more breaks here. You just take it and go, and then I'll cue you to the top of the hour.
Okay.
I'll bring us back in with just this last other song we're hearing. Yeah.
Kat's in Austin, by the way, Steve.
Yeah.
Another
That-
music den.
Yes.
Well, how do we connect to that?
Gotta come visit.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Jeremiah Show with Mike Gormley and special guest Steve Luongo. You just heard Reactionary Girl. Steve, what about me?
That's an interesting one. That was one of those, hey, you want to form a band? That was Robin Zander calling me saying, can you get your guys? And me saying, yes, I can get my guys. And he came down here to my studio. We rehearsed, I think, for a day or two. And Reactionary Girl, he wrote, Robin Zander wrote that. Is that the one?
Robin Zander from Cheap Trick, just to be clear.
Yes, Robin Zander, the singer from Cheap Trick, with Dave Stewart from Eurythmics. And I like the song. For me, I love playing cover material. And one of the things that was so much fun about playing with Robin is he wanted to do, he plays Cheap Trick songs. That's what he does. When does he ever get to do the Beatles or Led Zeppelin or the Who or whatever, Badfinger? And so our band, the Robin Zander Band, was an excuse to do that. But I'm always looking for material, me just personally, that isn't covered or that is, that you would have to ask me about, like Reactionary Girl or Miss Tomorrow. There's a bunch of songs that just, you know, they're great songs and they should be played. So that's about what that one was. I
So,
think we gave that away. We did a Christmas show at Arcada Theater and gave an EP with that song on
all
it.
right. But that goes back to my question before the break of music out there by or with Steve Luongo. You know, I mean, I don't need a list of songs, but is that an active part of your life these days? Because before we go, I want to touch on your design work that you do, which is nothing to do with music. Well, maybe it does. You'll tell us. But is there a Steve Luongo playlist? Is there somewhere people can go to catch a lot of your stuff?
I think I have a Reverb Nation that has a lot of stuff on it. And you know, the truth of the matter is our beautiful friend Susan Short is helping me get everything. That's kind of the mission. I didn't expect this, nobody expected this lockdown to happen. So what we're trying to do is compartmentalize, but kind of condense everything together, because the music gave way to the art and the art gave way to the fashion, and you know, entertainment is just what I do. So I like to think when I get interviewed about the art, you know, the graphic art, the visual art, to me, I compose it like visual music. So they're all very connected for me. I kind of use doing the canvases to decompress from music. And I've always loved fashion. I grew up in a Seventh Avenue family, but I was the black sheep musician. But I guess some of it stuck. So when people used to come to art exhibitions, they said, "Oh, that'll look great on shirts." And I wasn't just going to go and do, you know, a box printed T-shirt. I was going to I like to make a contribution when I do something. So I wanted it to be a full representation of the original piece of art. And
That's what you're wearing at the moment?
yeah, this is actually, this one, this is Mojave turquoise. And you know, the canvas is 40 by 6. You can see it doesn't repeat. I'm not going to do that. Well, I could spin for you if you want.
Give us a twirl. That's so cool.
There you go.
So, and when I had them made, I wanted them all to be slightly different. I wanted to sign them. You know, Robert Graham is such a beautiful brand, and it really freed guys up to go out and wear cool clothes. I always got to wear them because I had stage. You know what I mean? If somebody sees me walking around something like this, they're not going to, oh, that's that crazy guy. But Robert Graham opened up the market for guys to wear color and wear design. And so I didn't want to compete with that. I wanted to add to that. So what I do is they're all named. So this is Mojave turquoise. There's only 20 made in this size, and they're numbered, named, and signed in the yoke.
So there's a website where people can go to find this?
Yeah, it's myname.com. SteveLuongo.com. And Susan's putting everything there. It's the music is there, all of the albums that I've done. I'm pretty easy to find. And
So I've heard.
the website will lead you anywhere else you want to go. And a shout out to Susan. First of all, I thank her for introducing me to you, because I love you, dude. And Kat, you're right in there now.
Oh,
just
thanks.
grow the family.
And we met on your podcast,
That's right.
and your podcast is called
Rock and Roll Show and Tell.
Now, on the day that we're taping this, I don't know exactly when this will be heard, but the day, evidently, isn't tonight your 100th show or something?
Yeah,
like
my
that?
100th guest.
Guest.
And we're having Randy Jackson from Zebra on. He was my first guest. He was actually the guy who inspired me to do it. He said, "Steve, you can talk to anybody about anything." And I thought, well, wow, you know, like Tony Bruno, who played with Enrique Iglesias for 20 years. I haven't seen Tony Bruno since he was 19 on Long Island. And to talk with him for an hour, it's like you're a little kid again.
Yeah.
And the side pocket of it is that the people that never get to hear those conversations get to hear them.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's like being backstage in the dressing room, and that kind of conversation is going on.
Yeah.
Reminiscing and giving each other trouble and whatever is going on?
Well, we tell stories. I mean, we talk gear. You know, when I get I had two fantastic drummers on the other night, Linda Mackley and Rod Morgenstein. We were just geeking out about sticks and say, you know, and it's just fun. And I don't look at the comments. Like for me, it's just like this. It's just the three of us or the two of us. And I don't monitor, you know, hey, Joe, hey, bye. It's just us having the conversation, and you get to be a fly on the wall. And I love doing it. It's fun.
It's good fun. 100 guests.
Yeah.
Love that.
And I was one of them. I'm so
Yes,
proud.
you were. And you're in some pretty cool company with Buck Dharma from Blue Oyster Cult and Steve Stevens from Billy Idol. And it's just been some cool people.
Steve Stevens is, I don't think he gets enough, what's the word, praise. I mean, that's, I've heard him do, you know, when you hear him do Billy Idol, that's enough right there that he should be getting praise. But I've heard him do flamenco and classical, and I don't know him. I've just heard it on other avenues.
I know him since before he was Steve Stevens.
Oh yeah.
And I know him.
He was sneaking into
He-
clubs.
He was sneaking into clubs to see us play. That's
Oh,
how I
good.
know Steve.
Right.
And I don't know that I've seen him since there and all this. And when we got in the room together, it was just like old home week. And I'll tell you what I did with Stevens. I said, Steve, I'm set up to do drums. Why don't I send you a track and you compose something to it if you want? And he sent me back like, I can't believe the music that I'm making with people.
Mhm.
But you know, it's just like I said, lemons, we need lemonade.
Yeah, well, but you seem like a pretty happy guy. As a, you know, you're having a good time despite the weird world we live in at the moment. Or are you? I mean, as a pandemic, this sounds heartless, but has it been kind of a opportunity as well as a downer in some way?
Well, I'll tell you two things about the pandemic that I know for sure. One, my bass player and best friend from the band that everybody happens to run the Lee Memorial Health Center's emergency room, and he's the chief of staff. And so I, throughout this thing, have gotten real-time data and what's good and what's not. And I don't want to, you know, rattle anybody's cage here or there. I'm not saying anything other than in its worst form, this thing is horrendous. So,
We wonder how it's affecting you.
but I haven't seen it. I haven't really, I mean, I've lost some remote friends, but I haven't felt it the way you would feel it if you lived in a city. And, you know, I have a little property, so I can walk the dog and not worry about having a mask. And I don't, you know, we get everything delivered now, Instacart. I don't see as many people as, you know, and there's no live show, but it has given way to some incredible opportunity as well. I'm sorry to be so up. I'm not sorry, but it's
Oh, no,
weird
sorry.
to be
No, it's
so up.
refreshing. It's a good
Yeah.
thing. Quickly, the song coming up is "Tell Me, Cat." Is "Here Comes the Sun," correct?
Here comes the sun. Yeah.
And that's a George Harrison song with Steve Luongo and John Entwistle, right?
This is a great story. I'm going to try to do it in 30 seconds. We're on the Abbey Road tour with all the people that I mentioned before. And one of the songs that we're playing is Here Comes the Sun. A representative from Koch Records says, Steve, would you like to produce a record with George Harrison? Blah, 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 blah. Will you guys do that? I said, yes, no question. Sends me the advance check, all good. We end the tour, we go home, we make records. John dies. That's going to be tough to fulfill that contract. I call up the guys of Abbey Road. Didn't we record one night at Wolf Trap multi-track? Yes, but nobody agrees that it's good and we're not going to release it. I paid money for, can I just get the bass part, please? They said, what? I said, just give me the bass part. They gave me the bass part. I had John's rig. I brought John's rig into the studio. When we recorded John, we always took a direct inject, which is like coming straight out of the guitar. I put it into the amp, reworked it, and instead of doing the traditional version, I rearranged it in the studio with some studio magic to this version.
So it's a world premiere. Nobody's heard this before.
I don't think so.
Well, world premiere, Jeremiah's show, Here Comes the Sun. Kat, lead us on in. Steve, thanks so much. Been wonderful chatting with you once again.
Hey, anytime, man. I'm here. I love what you're doing, and happy doing it with you.
Cool.
Thank you. Thanks again, Steve, for
Thanks,
coming on.
Pat.
Pleasure to
Richard,
meet you.
Everybody, the pleasure to meet you all.
Thanks.
I hope we do it
Thanks,
again.
Lori. Thanks, Lori, for backup vocals, and Dr. D for backup.
She
And
bailed. She bailed. That's
Jeremiah.
future of all things but children.
Jeremiah did go to the beach because he's not on here. So don't
Yes,
give
he
us any.
did.
I was working. You were at the beach.
Thanks for listening. We
Why
will
do
talk to
think
you
they
next
call
week.
phones? Sorry, I cut you off. My fault.
That's okay.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, we're clear. We are clear. Very good.
Cool.
We might want to drop Jeremiah in wrapping that up since it's a little like
Yeah, well,
finished, but I don't know where he went.
I don't know.
No
where he went
problem. No
either.
problem. We're good. We're good.
Okay.
All
We can't
right.
hear it. We can't hear it, Jeremiah, if you're talking.
Very
Yeah.
good. No, he's not. He's not.
Oh.
He's fine. He's working. He is actually working here.
Okay.
Steve, what a pleasure.
right,
You
I gotta-
are
I gotta-
amazing. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. We got it. 1 o'clock we got to get to, but thank you
Okay.
so much, Steve. It was
Go ahead,
fantastic.
go ahead. Don't take care of business. I'll be here if you need me.
Mhm.
Mike knows how to find me. Then I'll look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks,
All right.
Steve.
Thanks,
Fantastic.
Kat.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Mike.
Okay. Let us bring in our next
Is
victim.
Jeremiah
here.
gone?
No. He's here. He's just putting something together. So just, and our other guests are coming in right now for the second hour. And they should be rolling in here pretty quick. And I need to do this and this. That's too close.
Well,
Hello.
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 Hey, Zeke.
Hello.
Gentlemen,
Welcome.
it's pleasure to see you all.